Okay, good. So, like I was saying, for the people that arrive later, I will be talking around 45 minutes, and then at the end, we will have a Q&A, and we also will have a short moment also for suggestions, for sharing experiences. So now I'm going to share my screen. So tell me when you see it, please. It should be now. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yep, I can see it.
Okay, great. So in that case, we can start. All right. So welcome again, everyone. And the name of the, let's say my name as a therapist is Switching You. And I chose this name because I believe inside of us that there's a lot of power we have. I see it like a switch that once you turn it on, you can reach your full potential. You can really transform your life, which is what I work on a daily basis with all the people that come to see me, with their inner intuition, with their inner power, with their inner wisdom. So I just guide them and they have very beautiful and transformative results. But today we're going to talk about something very interesting, like I was saying, the primitive mind. So talking about the winter, here we have a little fox. And so the name of today's webinar is You're Not Crazy, You're Not Lazy, You're Not Stupid. And I decided to make it about this because I've heard, and you can write in the chat all the comments you want. It will be cool if you share also your experiences or anything that has happened to you, or even questions. And so I'm sure all of you have had this moment where you feel like you're crazy, nobody understands you, or you're acting in a way that not even you understand. Also, I'm sure you've all felt at a moment that you're lazy, that you're not doing what you want, what you say you were gonna do, or even stupid. Could be because somebody else told you, or because the way you are behaving is not according to what you think you should be doing. So for me, the main purpose of this webinar is to share some knowledge, some information I have, because it really pains me to see over and over, and it obviously also happens to me, we are all humans, but it pains me to see over and over people really beating up themselves. And I think when we do that, when we are hard on ourselves, when we judge ourselves and others, it's just a lack of understanding. So my purpose with this webinar is for you to get more understanding, and that we all share our experiences, and then try to be kinder to ourselves, to others, and start making some transformations in our lives. So I have a question for you. You can write in the chat if you like sweets. So do you guys like sweets? Yes, no, more or less? And I'll explain you why I'm talking about sweets right now. Okay, so in general, so I'm going to talk about how we as human beings are, or we tend to be. It doesn't mean, of course, 100% of the human beings in the world are like that. I'm talking about how we tend to be, how our bodies are wired to be or to do. So talking about sweet, most people in the world tend to like sweet, tend to like sugar and sweet in general. And that is for a very simple reasons. That is because in ancient times, when we lived in the forest, when we were in a primitive, in a tribes kind of living, the sweetness was an indication that a particular thing was safe to eat. So we knew that a fruit was safe because it was sweet. So automatically our brains, since that time, and I'm talking hundreds and hundreds of years ago, thousands of years ago, actually, since that time, our brain connected something that tasted sweet to something that is safe. And whatever is safe to our primitive mind, it's good to go. okay? Because we will talk more about how the primitive mind works, but it is always trying to look for things that are safe for us. It's trying to protect us, to keep us in the comfort zone. And we will see also what its main purpose. Have a guess. Maybe some of you already know, have a guess, but our primitive mind has number one purpose. And so this is the reason why we tend to like sweets. And another explanation is our bodies use glucose as our primary source of fuel. So our brains have evolved to appreciate sweet foods in general. So this sugar consumption activates the mesolimbic dopamine system, which is the brain's reward system. The dopamine, the chemical messenger of well-being, I'm sure you have heard of this many times, and then it's released and reinforces our craving for sugar. So we're talking about a lot of things going on only by taking a sweet. A lot of chemicals are released, and that's why we also continue liking sweets. Again, most of us, not necessarily everybody. Okay, so here's a picture of a bunch of sweets. You can even type your favorite sweet. Sorry, and then the stress. This is also a very good one. I'm sure you have also heard, or maybe happens to you, of people that are addicted to stress. And this is very interesting. So what is stress? Stress is not a nowadays or a this time thing. Actually, stress comes from a very, very long time, and it was used by our ancestors for survival, for extreme and urgent situations. But we are not at all meant to be in constant tension. The stress was really just a way for our mind and our body to be alert in case there was danger. So we shouldn't be living in stress at all. This is most a modern type of way to take certain things. So another interesting thing about stress is that when somebody has an experience of extremely high stress, it can even be addictive, literally addictive. And there are some very interesting studies of some soldiers that went to war and had like horrifying experiences. And then when they go back home, some of them are asked to stay home or have a different job and not going to work again. But some of these people really have an addiction to stress, to the experiences they had in war, and they want to go back. And it doesn't mean they're crazy, it doesn't mean they're masochistic, it just means that they had an experience that it was so intense that the stress made them feel so alive, and now their body in a way is craving for that feeling because that feeling makes them feel alive. So it's a very different situation than many of us maybe think, and that's why some people, even if they don't need to, they really want to go, for example, to war or to some situations where they are not really obliged to do. Obviously, there are all other types of situations. For example, some people have a mental disorder, but that's a different topic. We're not going to talk about that. But again, this is, we're trying to understand. So that's why I would really like to stop us saying you or another person is stupid, lazy, or crazy, because we're really not. There's always a reason. We just many times don't know what it is. So this is a very interesting. So why rejection hurts so much? So again, everything connected to our primitive mind. Hundreds and thousands of years ago, when we were living, just imagine yourself, not like you are now in the house with all the commodities you may have or not, all the comforts you may have or not. When we were living in the tribal times, the chances that got you to be alive were when you were part of a tribe. So being left alone meant basically that you were going to die because there were so many risks. Imagine all the people in the tribes not having really a house, maybe living in the caves. So there were really a lot of threats. It was no food maybe, or their animals, or their tribes maybe hunting them, or even the weather. So the best chance you had to survive was to be in a tribe. That's why our brain automatically associates being rejected to something dangerous like death, because before, being rejected literally meant you were going to die. And that's why the sense of belonging is still very strong in ourselves, even in these modern times. And something also very interesting is nowadays there was actually this study made in the US, in the prisons, and 50% of the suicides committed were of all the people that were in the confinement, when they were in isolation. And it's very interesting because of all the inmates in the prisons, only 4% were in isolation, but they still made 50% of the suicides, because being alone, being rejected in that way, it's a huge hurt and a huge problem for any human being. And that's why it's still nowadays, it's one of the worst punishments. Even if they have, these inmates have where to sleep, even if they have a bathroom, even if they have food, even if they're, let's say, treated okay, just the fact that they don't have contact with other humans, it's really driving them to the point that they are committing suicide. So let's go to a very interesting question. So again, guys, feel free to interact in the chat. You can send me a private message also, or just send it in the general chat. So I want to ask you if you know why sex is pleasant. So if you ever thought why it's pleasant. So again, remember, we're talking about how a human being tends to be naturally. Of course, we're not talking about 100% of the people. There can be some situations very specific that have a different origin to be in one way or another. But in general speaking, sex tends to be pleasant. And that is because Mother Nature is very wise, like some people say, and it needed to be pleasant, talking again about the primitive time when we were in the tribes, when we were really living in caves. If it wouldn't have been so pleasant, we wouldn't have been born. We wouldn't be here right now. So this is one of the very basic needs or pleasures that humans have, because if it wasn't being like that, we wouldn't have continued having sexual relations and then continue the species. So it is the need to reproduce to ensure our survival. That's the main reason. Of course, there could be other reasons, but this is the reason number one. And then I have another question for you. So probably you've seen that usually in the news, most of the news we hear are bad or are negative, for a way to say. And I've heard a lot of people, and I also ask myself, why is it that the news are usually negative, right? It's not that there aren't positive things going in the world or productive things going in the world. There are actually, but there's a very good reason for the news to mostly want to portray the negative things happening. So if you know what's the reason, please put it in the chat. And I want to ask another question. So the question is, which new, if you were looking at your phone or on TV or reading the newspaper, which of these news would be more appealing to you? Number one, the picture on your left, let's say a cow that had twins, which for some people can be very cute. Or number two, which is a bomb explosion. So which one do you think would be something that you would be more attracted? Doesn't mean that you necessarily like it, but which one would you be more attracted to read or to know more about the twins of the cow or about the bomb? The bomb could be very far away. Your country doesn't need to be, of course, in your country. I'm talking just a bomb in a faraway place that couldn't be a problem for you. So let's see what people are answering. Okay, so Harith, exactly. Thank you, Harith, for your answer. That's exactly the reason. Of course, it will be, or most people would be interested in the bomb because that represents a threat. Thank you also, Sarah, for answering. So yes, so since, oops, 1 second. Do you see the screen still? Everybody seeing the screen? Also cute
Yes.
news. Thank you. Yes, also cute news. This doesn't mean that we don't like cute news, but what I'm saying with this is what we tend to be more attracted to, and yeah, like Harry was saying, this is a bomb, even if it's in a faraway country, it's more appealing to us. It's more of our interest, and not because we just want to know about destruction, but again, it has to do with our primitive mind. Because talking again in ancient times, when we were again in tribes, in the caves, and there were so many threats, what kept us alive, what kept our ancestors alive, was having a wire for everything that could be a threat, everything that could be negative. That's why we automatically are more into paying attention to what can go bad. And that also can answer the question of why I tend to be more negative than positive, because it's easier. We are born, we are wired to pay more attention to what can go wrong, because we associate a threat to a risk of being dead, and we don't want that. So that's why we are always paying more attention to, or most of the times paying more attention to what can be threatening, that something that could be cute or nice. Okay, and so here is the answer. So our primitive mind, or our survival mind, has one task. The number one task for our primitive mind is to keep us alive. This is the number one thing. So everything that our mind is doing is to keep us alive. We have different parts, of course. We are, as humans, are not only primitive. The primitive mind is a part of us, but it's still, even in nowadays, in modern times, it still has a lot of power over us, for a way to say, and so it's very present. And that's why we sometimes have these behaviors that we don't understand, or other people's behaviors we don't understand. Well, there's always a reason, and in many cases it's the survival mind that is acting. And so the primitive mind has number one task, keep us alive, like we said, and the second is to keep us away from pain as much as possible, and the third, close to pleasure as much as possible. This is very interesting because I've heard from some people in marketing that said that what sells the most is fear and sex. And yes, I think in many cases it's true. However, fear can sell way, way, way more. So again, just to give you an example, think about it. You can also write it in the chat. So what product will you be more likely to buy? A product that, talking about, let's say, a disease that you have, or that people in your family have. So will you be more likely to spend your money and your energy on a product that can save your life or your family's life? Or will you be more attracted to buy maybe, I don't know, a very nice or a cozy jacket, or very nice slippers, even if they are the best slippers in the world? So or even if I don't know, these perfumes that they say that they're gonna make you super sexy. So what will you buy more, or what will you be more likely to buy? This, let's say, medicine, or this thing that can prevent you from having a sickness, or can help you if you already have a sickness, to having a perfume that is going to make you very sexy. So again, this is in general how we tend to act. Maybe some people will go for the perfume, why not? But I'm very sure if it's about life and death, you and most of us will choose something that will keep us alive, that will help to improve our health. And so this is also how our mind works. It connects the uncertain with the dangerous and the unpredictable with the dangerous. So whatever our mind doesn't know, whatever is out of our comfort zone, it's something that is going to be that your mind is not going to like, and that your mind is probably going to reject or delay. And we'll see many examples of that's why it's so hard, or it seems it's so hard to have one habit to the other. When you want to have a new habit, for example. And now we have something also that maybe you have thought about, maybe not. So has it ever crossed your mind what's real danger and perceived danger? So I have this gif of this poor kid being afraid of a little mouse moving, which of course is you and I know it's not gonna hurt him, but the kid doesn't know. He maybe hasn't seen ever this type of mouse. So as it's something new for his mind and something moving towards him represents something scary, represents something dangerous. So we go back to our primitive mind. And so this is the thing. A lot of us, and please again, interact in the chat, let us know your thoughts. Have you ever thought why it's so hard to make new habits? Why your mind can be many times so negative? And why you can't be as happy as you want to? There are, of course, many reasons. However, one of the basic or the main reasons is that our mind is not made to make us happy. Our mind is made to survive, to keep us alive. And that those are two very different things. And again, everything is connected to when we were in tribes, when we were so many thousands and hundreds and thousands of years ago. We needed to be like that. And I think this is my personal perspective, that we are here to evolve and to enjoy life. And in order to do that, we really need to transform this part of ourselves, this primitive mind, because it's good. It has helped us so much through so many years. However, now in nowadays, at least in many of the places we're living now, we don't really have as many threats as we used to have 1 million years ago, for example. So also talking about this primitive mind, anything that's new, anything that represents taking a risk or facing fears puts our primitive brain in very high alert. So that's exactly why you may be distracted when you need to do something. Can be something at work, or when you're studying, or when your mom, roommate, or someone in the house tells you to do something you don't like. Or also can be when there's something risky in any way. Doesn't mean you're gonna jump from the bungee. It can be even something very slightly unpleasant, but still, if it's unpleasant, our mind connects it to something that it's not okay. So it's gonna help you find a lot of excuses not to do something. Another reason also is to punish us. This is another topic. We could do a webinar all about that, but that could be also another reason. So another question, and I think some people here know the answer. So why are we more receptive when we are kids? And there are many reasons. Many people have different ideas also, sorry. what some people, what some scientists have also discovered is that when kids are around 4 to 6, some people say even to 8 years old, their brains are naturally in alpha and theta state, which means they are super receptive. So that's why many of us have heard like kids are like sponges, like whatever they hear or see, they learn, which is true, and that's exactly the explanation, because their brains are in a different stage. Let's say you and I are probably now in the beta state, which is what an adult is normally in. However, children are in alpha or theta, which, like I said, they are extremely receptive. They can learn so fast, the good and the bad. And also they take the experiences very, very profound. And there's also a reason for this. And the reason is that if you think about it, the human beings need a lot of years to be with their family or their carers in order to be independent. There are many animals that need very little time. However, we need a few years to be independent. Just think about it. How old do you think a kid should more or less be in order to be independent and survive? I don't think a 2-year-old could do it, or a 3-year-old could do it, right? So that's another reason why our brains are always trying to help us. And our brain, it's in this alpha and theta states in order to capture as much as possible, to learn as much as possible from our surroundings, so that we can survive better, that we can have the less threats as possible as they can. And so this is why the habits, the diets, and the procrastination come. And like we were saying, your mind leads you towards what's pleasure, and especially away from pain. And that's why when you when you need, for example, to, like we were saying, to do a task, or you need to clean the house, I'm sure most people don't like to do it. It doesn't mean you're a bad person, doesn't mean you're lazy, doesn't mean you're filthy. It just means you don't find pleasure in cleaning your house, which is okay. But so what so happens is that when you need to do that, or when your boss asks you to do something you don't really like to do, that's the time where you find all the excuses in the world, and you're doing something you never do the whole year. Well, you're doing it that day. Why? Because your brain is trying to help you to find an excuse to convince you not to do something that it's unpleasant for you. And so we arrived to the main topic. So this is the number 1, you're not crazy. So I'd like to tell you the story of John, who it's a study they did in 1969. John was a kid that was 17 months. This happened in the US. And what happened is that his parents couldn't take care of him. The dad was working and was abroad, and the mom had a very difficult pregnancy, so she had to be taken care of. So when he was 17 months, he was left with nurses in a hospital that were taking very good care of him. So he always had human contact, he always had food, he was warm, he was changed, he was even with other kids. So he might seem to have everything he needed. And you can see it in the video how much he was really well treated. But the very interesting thing is this study was made in purpose to know how much it could affect him. And there were a lot of skeptical people that said, come on, there's not a problem. The kid is well taken care of, right? He has everything he needs. He just we'll see that his mom will arrive at a certain point after a few months. But that was not the case. Actually, in the beginning, he was crying when he was left with the nurses, and he started to try to be more with a nurse, but the nurse had to also take care of other kids. So it was very difficult for him to really connect with one adult, with someone that he would feel could really protect him and take care of him. And so he started to isolate himself. Then after a few months, the mom came back and the dad, and he was a little bit different already. You can see in the video when he sees the mom, he starts to cry, but then he kind of pushes her and gives her a very different look that he has never given her, like distrust kind of. Then the years passed, and all these people that were very skeptical said, you see, he's a normal person, blah, blah, blah. And until like his 30s or 40s, he lived, let's say, a normal life. He never had a main emotional, mental problem. However, when his wife went to, she was, they were, let's say, happily married, but the wife had to move a lot and travel a lot to different countries. And so he would be left alone many times. And it was not a problem of anything else, but the connection that he made when he was little with being abandoned by someone he loves, with, in that case, in the case when he was little, his parents, he connected that wound, because that was a huge wound, an emotional wound he had. He connected that with the wife going away. So he felt again the abandonment. And what happened is he started to have a lot of anxiety, depression, and he tried to commit suicide more than once. So for some people that don't know John's story, they would say this guy's crazy, he already had mental problems, or he's just trying to call the attention, when it's nothing like that. There's nothing wrong with John. He just had a trauma when he was little, and he was not abused, he was not beaten up or something like that we may think could be a problem. He was left in good care with other people, but he took it like an abandonment, and that really hurt him. And when another similar experience happened 30 or 40 years ago, there was the trigger that made him feel that bad. So of course, it doesn't mean all human beings would have reacted like John. However, this is a very common and very natural way to react in a situation like that. And that's what I wanted to say to you, that whenever you see a behavior in yourself or someone else, there's always a reason. Many times we don't understand, but that doesn't mean there's a good reason behind it. And so, of course, you're not stupid. That's the same thing with people wanting to do, like I was saying, maybe change behavior or have a new habit. How about the new year? How many resolutions do you have? And how many do you usually keep? Let's just think about it. And you're not lazy. So here I wanted to say the story of this woman that she suffered a lot when she was little, but she didn't want to really talk about it. When she grew up, she turned to be like very successful. She had, let's say, a very kind of good life. It seemed in the outside, but actually she had many emotional problems. She had an accident. She was very active. She was fit. She had an accident, and then she went just to have the type of therapy that I give. She was not my client, but I know about her. And so she had this kind of therapy, which is very fast and very deep. And she discovered that part of her, many of her problems when she was a child and when she grew up and at the moment when she had the accident were related to one event. And I'll tell you later which event. So this woman, when she had the accident, she was, I think, in her 40s, and she started to gain weight when she was, before she had been super active, super fit. But then with the accident, she started to gain weight and she needed to do some physiotherapy, but she didn't. And you might say, well, this woman is lazy. Why wouldn't she do physiotherapy? I mean, she needs that in order to walk, because she had a problem in the leg. She couldn't walk. She was in a wheelchair. And actually with this therapy, she went back to the root of the problem, which was when she was very little, unfortunately, she was abused. And that, you can imagine what a horrifying trauma that was for her, but she never really wanted to make it present. And that's also something interesting. Some people that had a very intense trauma, can be emotional or physical, they tend to cover it. The mind tends to cover it to protect us from the pain. So in many cases, that's why I'm saying, please, let's try to understand instead of judge others and ourselves, because in many cases, we really don't know what's going on in ourselves. So we cannot know what's going on in other people. In the case of this woman, she kind of blocked it. And with the therapy, she went back to what really happened, to the root of many of her problems, not only the problems she had in that moment. And then she could heal that very deep and immense wound she had when she had the abuse, and then behave in a different way. So what was happening with her also was that she had suffered so much in her life, not only for the abuse, but for other situations she had, that the least thing she wanted at that point of her life was to do physiotherapy, not because she was lazy, but because she had had a lot of pain before. So her brain was trying to help her avoid more pain. And to do that, she find always excuses not to do the physiotherapy. Then, of course, after the session, she had another mindset and she began with the physiotherapy. And so I think a lot of people have thought about the willpower, but I really want to tell you, we have all different opinions and all is valid, but I can tell you, in my opinion, in the opinion of many therapists I know, willpower is overrated. And here you can see in the chart why. Because we have like the iceberg, okay? The peak of the iceberg would be our conscious mind. And then the subconscious mind is some people say, some scientists even say 90%, 95% is our subconscious mind. And our subconscious mind is what guides most of our actions, our behaviors. And only 5% is our conscious mind, which means also our willpower. And that's again why it's so difficult for many of us to change from one habit to the other, or when you want to change even in a relationship, when you want to change your group of friends, or when you want to change your job. So this is one of the reasons. As you can see, in our conscious mind, we have critical thinking, logical thinking, and willpower, short-term memory. And in the other hand, in the 90%, as many scientists say, we have the subconscious mind, which has the beliefs, the creativity, the emotions, the imagination, the intuition, the long-term memory. So we're talking about two very different levels. That's why willpower alone cannot do much in many situations. If it's, let's say, a very easy, superficial situation, willpower is enough, of course. But if it's something very deep, willpower will not do. And again, not because you or another person is lazy or crazy or stupid, it's because there's something else you haven't understood, and that's why you cannot work it out. So the uncomfortable truth is every limitation block you experience is produced by a belief. This belief, it's inside of you, so you have the power to change it. And many of these beliefs were programmed in you by the people around you when you were growing up, or even by yourself, which means maybe when you were a child, you lived an experience and you made a conclusion or an interpretation of that experience and then created a belief. Usually the beliefs you create when you are a child are the most powerful ones and the ones that are the most difficult to change with a conscious method or with willpower. So what you can do is to speak to your mind in a different way. And I like to put this Snoop Dogg Giphy because it's like dancing. So what you can do is, and this I also want to make a point. Most people think our mind is like playing trick on us, or it's bad, or it's negative, or it's not helping us. It's not true. Our mind, talking especially about our primitive mind, is always trying to help us. It's just limited because it's primitive. It's not so developed. We have inside of us, like I said, many parts. So we have our physical body, we have our mind, we have our emotions, we have also our soul, if you believe in soul. And so we have many resources. And the mind is always trying to help us. It's just limited and cannot do many things, but it's always trying to do what it thinks it's best for us. It's never trying to harm us. Even if it seems so, it's always trying to protect us, to help us. So what we can do is, let's say, dance with the mind, understand what's going on, and talk to yourself, to talk to that part of your mind and understand what's really the problem. And then you can like dance or like move it in a different way so that you can have the outcome you prefer, you can achieve what you want. And I'll give you some examples. When you have in your mind the words, when you say to yourself, I can't do it, I invite you to change the words to, I have the ability to do it. Or when you say, my job is hell, which is, I really invite you to stop saying that and change it for, my job is challenging and I can handle it. So we're not just going to say some pretty words or positive words. It's not about that. This is about giving direct, specific instructions to your mind. It's way different. This is not just positive thinking. This is science. This is talking to your mind in a different way so it can behave and it can learn something different, and your mind can be trained. So instead of saying I'm not good enough, you can say I am good and I am getting better every day. Or if you're a person that doesn't arrive on time, which by the way is a huge problem here in Switzerland, instead of saying I'm always late, say, okay, I prefer to be on time, next time will be better. So you are talking your mind in a different way. Instead of giving all the same thoughts that will keep you in that loop, you're giving a different one and then constructing a new habit and a new thought. Another thing that you can do is changing your beliefs through images, through visualization. That's really helpful. So just these are there are many, I cannot take that long, but there are many exercises you can do. For example, when you're having, let's say, a presentation at work, or when you're having a competition, sports competition, I invite you to, days before, and especially the same day, close your eyes, have some deep breaths, and imagine whatever the outcome you want happens. Just have this feeling of something going good, and that is going to give you release. It's going to give you relief in that moment. And it's also wiring your mind to that. So it's focusing, making your mind focusing on the outcome so that you can take the necessary actions for that to happen. Again, it's not positive thinking. This is direct instructions to your mind. So if you want proof, I don't know if you've seen, for sure, I mean, some documentaries or maybe war movies. And for example, the Marines that are supposed to be one of the best soldiers in the world, they do incredibly difficult tasks. They go running for hours with very heavy equipment, and they are singing, if you see them, and they seem to be enjoying it. So it's not that they're crazy, it's not that they're stupid, it's just that they are giving their brains different instructions. They are telling in their songs something like, I want to do this is great, I'm strong, etc. So it doesn't mean it's easy for them, it doesn't mean it's not cold outside, it doesn't mean it's not heavy what they have. It means they are giving different instructions to their brain, so they are handling much better. That's why they can achieve that. Incredible things that we cannot even think of. Another example is David Goggins. I really invite you to see this guy. He's absolutely amazing. He's exceptional. So he was a guy that didn't have a job. He was overweight, and he decided himself to make a different life. And he did it through his mind, talking in a different way to his mind. And the result is he has so many world records. One of them is this more than 4,000 pull-ups in 17 hours, which is unbelievably quick. I don't know how many pull-ups can you do, guys? You can put it in the chat. I don't know. I don't think I can do even one anyway. And he also did 3 times the Hell Week, which is something nobody in the world has ever done it. The Hell Week in the US Army is a week that many people don't even dare to do it. And it's with incredibly difficult tasks and so much pressure, and only the hard ones can do it well. He did it not only 1 or 2, but 3 times. So this guy is tough, and he does it because he knows how to talk to his mind. He changed his way of talking to his mind. So, okay. If you want more proof, you can try it. Try the impossible, make it possible. So a question. So will talking to my mind change 100% of what I want? Well, it will help you for sure. It will level you up. However, it depends on the changes you need to do. Like I was saying, if it's something very deep, then maybe just a small talk with you and you probably is not going to be enough. But there are many other things you can do, and we will talk about it in a little bit. But it will for sure make you feel better, make you live better, and have different perspective of life and different actions. So very quickly, think about someone you admire or someone that you like. You can put it in the chat. I put two movie stars because probably the people I admire, maybe you don't know it, they're not that famous. But I put these two guys because, okay, Tom Hardy, he's gorgeous, of course, but he has also a very interesting life if you read about it. And Charlize Theron, she's super beautiful, a great actress also. But if you read again about her life, she has gone through horrible experiences, and she has made it, she has really evolved and become a very beautiful person inside out. If you see also the work she has done, it's fantastic. And so if you think about people you admire or that you like, maybe it could seem, especially with movie stars that seem to look always pretty or perfect, it may seem it's easy for them when it's not. They are all human beings. They all have to eat, they all have to poo, they all have to pee, they cry, they have to sleep, just like the rest of us. So what is different with some of them when they achieve the goals we would like to achieve is because they work with their mind in a different way. They talk to their mind in a different way. So I have this question for you. Are your fears holding you back from achieving your goals? Or what do you think is holding you back from achieving your goals? I know personally many of you, and I know you are great achievers, great professionals. However, I don't know of anyone that is achieving all of their goals, absolutely all of them. And that's great, because that means we can always evolve and learn and become better. And that's why I asked this question. Do you think something's holding you back to achieve your goals? So one quick tip. When you want to achieve a goal, you can use a technique that works, a really good technique, which overtakes time. An example is Tim Ferriss. Also, I invite you to read about him. He has also a lot of world records, and he uses his mind in a very different way that we are taught to, or that we usually do. And he managed to be in a tango championship in Argentina just after very few months of training how to dance tango, which is almost impossible. I mean, if you know a little bit about this tango in Argentina, I mean, people do it for years. I mean, they have it in their blood, and still Tim Ferriss, that is not even Argentinian, managed to be in the championship. And another great technique is the therapy we use. And that is the therapy I studied, and I had the pleasure also to meet Sarah there. And it's a very deep and fast technique that we use to treat many different topics. Usually from 2 to 5 sessions are enough to finish with any issue or any problem you may have. If it's something very simple, for example, stop smoking, can be even 1. Usually it's only 1 for biting nails, for quit smoking. On the other hand, if it's something like very, let's say, complex, for example, someone that went to war, someone that has severe depression, then in that case, that could be 6 sessions or maybe a little bit more. In my experience with the clients I've had, we went maximum 3 sessions to solve the issue they came to see. And I can say it's absolutely wonderful. So in this technique, in this therapy we use hypnosis. So I want to quickly just tell you what hypnosis is and what is not. So when you use hypnosis, you are relaxed, very, very relaxed. You are in control, so nobody's gonna take over your mind or make you do something you don't want to. Otherwise, all the hypnotherapists will be having great parties and having islands and all these things that the billionaires do. So you are in control. Nobody can tell you to do something or to think something you don't want to, because you're always aware. And the number 3 is it doesn't feel so different, because I talk for some people, some of the clients I had, and also from other colleagues and myself, we thought it was going to be like a mystical experience. It's not like that. It's just being very focused in yourself, and it's more like the sleep of the nervous system. So you're more concentrated inside yourself. You're very relaxed. So it's not a huge physical difference from where you are. And another thing I think most people don't know is hypnosis is when your brain goes to alpha or theta, to these brain waves. And it's a natural state. So if you go to a therapy session where people are gonna put you in hypnosis, it's nothing different from something you already do. And you do it probably every day, because when you're going to sleep, you go to these phases. Also, I don't know if this has happened to you, when you can write in the chat, or maybe to someone you know, when you are watching TV or a movie and you're very concentrated on that, people can be talking to you and you hear them, but you just don't answer, because it's a way to be in hypnosis. It's a very deep relaxation state you are in. Same thing when you do meditation, same thing can happen also when you're listening to music and you're very relaxed. So being in hypnosis is nothing different from a state that your body is already in sometimes. So almost last thing. So we talked that actually nobody's crazy, nobody's lazy, nobody's stupid. There's always a reason behind. But can I use the primitive mind as an excuse? Absolutely not. We need to take responsibility and get our power back. And we can do that talking to our mind in a different way. So here I just give you some, oh my God, we're almost at the end. I give you some examples of things you can do. If you are kind to answer the survey I'm gonna put in the chat in a little bit, I will give you part of the information I shared today and these tips also. So the things you can do: get to know yourself better through therapy, meditation, reading, being in nature. You can make a free call with me also, and we can talk about it, about the session, of if we can work together or not. You can speak to your mind in a different way. You can be more understanding to yourself and others. You can also take notes of this webinar. And also very interesting would be to read more about this topic. There are many people talking about this. You can also be more present in your life and more mindful, and recognize when a fear is a coping mechanism and not a real warning. So you can move on instead of just being in that state of fear. And you can also change your fears through images, through visualization, like we saw. So I just want to finish this webinar really with a hope that it was useful for you, and that if you can get one thing is start being more understanding with yourself and others, and stop judging and stop excusing yourself and others. Because these two things are two of the most damaging things that can happen in the world, to you and to other people. Because when you judge yourself, you beat yourself up, you create a very negative and vicious cycle. Same thing with others. When we were just talking about how many times we don't even understand ourselves. So who are we to judge other people? We are creating a very negative environment with other people if we do that. Same thing with excusing is as damaging as judging. When you excuse other people, maybe because you love them or because you're afraid to confront them, you are not giving them the chance to grow, to be better. And same thing with you. If you're excusing yourself for having a poor behavior, then you're not given the chance to be a better person, and you are just not taking responsibility. That's why I want to invite you to avoid both of them. No judging, no excusing, but we go with understanding. And be kind to your primitive mind. I know it may seem it causes trouble, but it's just trying to help us. So imagine your primitive mind is something like a little baby or like a little dog. It's something very cute that is trying to help us, but it's limited. It cannot do as much as we can as adults. So 2 suggestions in general are volunteering. If you can in person, much better. This is to give back to society, to support others, and also it increases your self-esteem. Probably you haven't heard this, but it's great for self-esteem. And second thing, take some time a week, 30 minutes a week only for yourself, doing something that relaxes you, being in nature or drawing. So if you haven't, you can follow me on Instagram, and I share some information also there. So here's my Instagram. So thank you very much. Now we have some time. Oh, these are my sources, by the way, where I got the information for this webinar. I'm part of a Swiss professional association. Also, I got some information from them and some of these books and seminars. So I will write the survey in the chat, so you can get this audio and these tips from what we saw today. But most importantly, I want to thank you for being here, and I hope you can thank yourselves for taking time for you. I really appreciate it, because I know some people were here to support me, and I really thank you from the bottom of my heart. Even if it sounds corny, I really do. However, I think it's most importantly for you to thank yourself, because this is some time for you. So I'll write in the chat the survey, and now we can go to the Q&A. So please feel free to ask any questions, anything, or something if you want to share an experience, or if you want to tell us what you think about this presentation. If you've heard from this before, we'll be very happy to hear you. Harry, yes, please. We can. I'm gonna ask you to unmute so you can tell us what you want. You are in mute, Harry. Let's see. You can. I don't know. Or you can. Yeah, for the people that had to go, no problem at all. I totally understand. So Harry, if you want to talk, you need to unmute your microphone, and we'll be glad to hear you. We cannot hear you. Okay, is somebody else that wants to share something or ask a question or just comment about an experience or the webinar or the topic itself? Okay, Harit is telling me he has a problem with the setting. What you could do, Harit, if you want, you cannot take out the microphone, because I'm trying to help you with the ask to unmute, but like you say that there's a problem with the setting. Maybe you can try to log out and log in again. I mean, join again. Let's see if that works. Sarah, yes.
Letty, shall I just speak while Harry's sorting that out? Yeah, I just wanted to ask about Tim Ferriss. That sounded like a really interesting example. Can you just tell us what he did to get himself in that state of mind where he could do the tango championship?
Yeah, he's a guy that he has been doing a lot of world record breaking, because he said, if you see some of his interviews, he has also some books. He says, like, I don't believe that things should be the way they are. There has to be a better way. So he really focused on finding different techniques for many different things, and finding the right technique could take him from 0 to 100 in a very short time. So for the tango, for example, he found a very specific technique that teaches you very fast and efficiently how to dance tango, and it took him a few months. Now I don't remember if it was like 6 or 7 months, but it was not even a year. It was like a matter of months, and he managed to be in the championship. So he has done the same. Whenever he's like challenging, I think, himself. So whenever he wants to do something new, he's like, okay, I'm gonna find the technique to, I don't know, cook this dish, or to dance like this, or to travel like this, or to learn this. And he just finds it, and there are different techniques. And then he achieved these amazing goals and world records.
Fantastic, thank you.
You're
That was a great presentation, by the way, and yeah,
Thank
really
you.
enjoyed it. And yeah, no, it's just fascinating, isn't it, how the power of the mind
Yes.
can, you know, control our outcomes in that way. And also interesting, your perspective on the primitive mind and how that can be ruling ourselves, and we need to just dig a bit deeper to find out what's going on and show ourselves some compassion and understanding.
Exactly. Yeah, and you know, it's really my main purpose for this was to share some of the things that have helped me, and because it really hurts me seeing people beating themselves up, especially people close to me that I know they are amazing. They're just not perfect like anybody is, you know. But when you start understanding how our mind really works, then it's easier for you to be more patient and kind to yourself. So let's see if Harit can come back. Anything else you wanna share or ask? Oh, Harit is coming back. Hopefully he can. Yes, hi Harit. I cannot hear you. I see you have on mute your microphone.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, fantastic. Now we can hear
Hi,
you.
everybody. Sorry for that glitch.
No
Apparently, my privacy settings were not allowing Zoom to access my camera and mic.
Okay.
Thanks. First of all, hi, everybody. First of all, my name is 𝙤𝙤𝙪𝙗. I'm from Oman. Interesting package, very comprehensive one. You touched upon the point of stress.
Yes.
In one of your slides, and basically we know that stress is not something optional, right? It's not something that you choose. It's imposed by different factors, external factors. So the causes of stress, it could be anything, right? From your bad manager at work,
Yes.
An understanding partner in your relationship, it could be anything. Now, to deal with it, either you'll go to one extreme and cut the source of that stress, or live with it and suffer, or something in between where basically you need to learn some methods to increase your capacity of, accepting more stress. What could be those methods? I mean, do you recommend any certain methods? Any?
Yes, sure. Tell me.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, there are many things you can do with stress, and I think this is mainly a change of your mind, or the way you speak to your mind, like we were saying during the webinar. But specifically for stress, I would say you can start doing meditation that is going to automatically calm you down. There are also great breathing exercises that also calm your mind and make you be clearer, which means, like you were saying, okay, you can have challenges or difficulties at work. That's never going to change. That's part of life. However, what you can manage, what you can change is the way you react to that. So if you are doing meditations, or if you are taking time out, being, I don't know, playing a sport, being in nature, doing breathing exercises, it's something that is going to calm you down and make you deal much better in a clearer and easier way with stress. And you will see, that's the amazing thing, you will see a different perspective from problems. It wouldn't be fun probably, but it's going to be something that you're like, okay, there's this guy again that is going to ask me this same thing, or he screwed up. Okay, let's see what I can do. But you will do it in a more calm way. If the stress is connected to something very deep, could be to a trauma, to an ancient, let's say, wound that you had maybe in your childhood, in that case, you need something deeper. That could be something like therapy. Maybe it's something simple. There are many things you can do, and I can share with you some of these breathing exercises or meditations I do, and I'm sure you can try them and see that it's gonna help you.
Interesting, because the reason why I ask you,
yeah,
maybe some people have got that gift already of dealing with stress. I'm talking about the external stress, which is something that at some point you can control, right?
Yes.
And I've been trying to tell some people that there are ways that you can deal with your bad boss at work, you know,
Exactly.
deal with your, but they are telling me that it's something that either you have it, it's not something that you can gain, you know, which it's always a debatable thing.
Yeah, I think this is just a different point of view, and this is because most people, I mean, we grew up thinking that things happen to us instead of really knowing that we have the power to react and to train our minds and our bodies in the way we like. So I think many people, and I used to be like that, we thought that the things happen in the external cannot be managed in any other way. Meaning that if the boss comes and gives you, I don't know, screws up and says it's your fault or is giving you a hard time, it seems like it's part of life and that's it, and you're gonna do anything about it. But what you can do is separate yourself from that person or that situation. And again, it's not like everything's perfect, because it's not, but you're gonna separate who you are from that situation and say, okay, this is my boss again, screwing up or giving me a hard time. Okay, that is his problem. I don't like it. I don't agree. I don't think it's fair. It could be, but I'm going to react in a different way. And again, the only way you can do that, it's working on yourself, because you cannot control and you cannot know what's going to happen in the external world, which is the people, the weather, the situation. You cannot control that, and that's okay. You can make peace with that, but what you can control is yourself, and working in yourself, making yourself be more peaceful, knowing yourself more. It's also very beneficial. There are many books also that can be very helpful. There is one called Emotional Intelligence. It's kind of old, but it's very useful. And it talks also how we have different characters. So the more you know yourself, you can also deal better with situations. Example, if I know I have a strong temper, and I know my boss is gonna come on Monday with this stupid task, let's say, then what I'm going to do is, instead of already being, I don't know, predisposed that that's gonna happen, what I can do is I just start thinking, I'm gonna be calm, I'm gonna do something that puts me in a good mood, because I know this is gonna happen. Or I'm just gonna be as calm as possible. And if my boss comes and tells me something unpleasant, then of course, not lacking of respect, but maybe let's say the boss is just asking you something nonsense. Instead of answering and letting your anger or your temper go out, you're gonna be calm, because you know if you answer, this is gonna escalate. So this is part of the emotional intelligence.
Okay, interesting. Thanks.
You're welcome. Thank you for being here. Olga, Marisol, is there something you want to share or add or ask?
Just want to thank you once again. It is a pleasure to hear your meetings. I've heard it in Spanish and now in English. And I think I love it more in English.
Good.
Yeah. But I know you're my sister, but I've told you this, but I always have admired you, and I still, and the way that you are turning your life and sharing that information with us is amazing. And not because you're my sister, as I always told you, because you help people, and I think in so many ways you've changed the way I think. And if you do that not only to me, then imagine, I know people are crazy right now. You don't know how it's in Mexico, but I hate to go out because people are crazy. They never respect each other. We always judge each other. It's really hard sometimes, and we need to change our minds and be more understand more the people, not only in Mexico, but because we all have a lot of things going on. So if we try a little bit to change that in our minds, that the world will be different. Just if one person change. So I really want to thank you once again.
Thank you for being here, for the support. I really appreciate it, because you've been amazingly supportive. I have no words for you. Olga, is there something you wanna share or ask or say? Okay, so well then I would say this is it. I put the link for the survey in the chat, so you can click it there, or maybe if, because I know some people had to go, and actually I want to thank you guys because it took us a little bit longer than I thought, because I got very excited about talking about these things. But I know these are most people are having holidays in these times, so I really appreciate of you still being here, because everyone's crazy busy, and a lot of people told me I'm gonna be there but only 30 minutes because I really have to run or have this event, whatever. So I thank you guys, everyone that was here before, if you see this again, and everyone that stayed till the end. So feel free to click the link, so I will send you these 2 free gifts, and well, see you next time, probably next year. So happy holidays.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.